In. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our May 12th meeting of the Isla Vista Community Services District. Before we get started, I would like to announce that this meeting is being recorded. And if we can get a roll call, please.
Director Carmichael.
Here.
Lowart. Here. Dashler.
Here.
Palat.
Here.
Sipos.
Here.
Huff.
Here. Wonderful. Okay. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Anascoyo, the land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Okay. We have any directors have any items from the consent agenda that we would like to pull?
I'll just clarify, the legal bill on here is for the January. It's just worded, it's through January 1st, January 1 through January 31st, received in February, and we just missed it back in February.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Seeing as we have no pulled item, can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I will. I'll second.
Awesome. We can get a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and any abstentions. Okay, pass consent agenda. Now is the time for public comment on matters that are not on tonight's agenda. If you have a comment on a later agenda item, we will take those later in the meeting when they are agendized. So do you have any public comments? Yeah.
I don't know. Just staying here.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hi all. I'm Alex. I'm also a board member with CalPERS Students, which is a student activist group here at Santa Barbara that also has chapters at the other UCs. We work on a lot of public interest issues like clean air, clean water, and I'm here to speak in support of putting a resolution to adopt or support the Make Polluters Pay Climate Superfund Act for, I think, in 2 weeks would be the next time you guys meet. I think this is super awesome, following in the footsteps of Santa Barbara County, who's already passed this, and Goleta, who's working on this right now. I think it'd be really great. Making the biggest companies pay for the damages that they are creating means a lot, especially to students. This is something that we've been working on for a while, gathering a lot of petitions. And unequivocally, this is something that students are in support of. I'd also say that IB itself is considered a disadvantaged community, and 40% of the fund would be used to do things like build infrastructure in disadvantaged communities. So I think it's also something that would be in the interest of IB. And so, yeah, I'm just here to support of that. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes.
Hi, my name is Carly Christopher, and I'm also a student at UCSD working with CalPERS. I'm here to support the Make Polluters Pay campaign because local communities are increasingly dealing with the cost of climate-related damage and environmental impacts. We believe that corporations most responsible for pollution should help contribute to these costs instead of leaving taxpayers to shoulder the burden alone, especially disadvantaged communities like Isla Vista. Other communities in our region, like Santa Barbara, have already expressed support for this effort, and I hope Isla Vista would consider joining them in standing for accountability and environmental responsibility.
Thank you. Yes.
My name is Zarek. I'm a student with CalPERS, but I'm also an IB resident. And I think, or I'm speaking in support of the Make Polluters Pay climate resolution. This act would be super beneficial for everyone across California. I think disadvantaged communities like IB would take a special use of this. And just as a resident of IB, not even as a student in CalPERS, I think IB deserves the infrastructure and proper infrastructure it needs to support the people with it.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Hi, I'm Amber. I do not live in IB, but I live right beside it in Manzanita. I think the time for the climate superfund with the Make Polluters Pay is highly needed, especially right now with the refugio pipeline being open. So we're at risk of more climate damages along with the sea level rise that's going to impact the infrastructure along DP. And just the pipeline being active right now, an active pipeline, this was a study from 2010 and 2014, over like a decade, where the active pipeline made 50% of the total SB County CO2 emissions, which is quite a lot. And that's an entire county. And yeah, so they should take responsibility of like the impact that they're having on our climate. And I feel like it'd secure us for the future.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Diana. I'm also with Calvary students. I don't live in Isla Vista, but I plan to next year. But I've lived around Isla Vista, and it's one of the most environmentally engaged and aware areas I have ever lived in. And it's arguably because of the 1969 oil spill that occurred right off this coast. But despite that, we're still taunted by a bunch of oil rigs right off that coast as well. And still we bear the damages in countless forms. So I think it only makes sense to make these same polluters that earn record profits pay.
Thank you. What was your name?
Diana.
Diana. Thank you. I believe so, yeah.
Could somebody tell me if this is state legislation, federal legislation, an initiative?
Yeah, this is state legislation. They're not in session right now, so it wouldn't be like voted on for a while, but would do a great deal in expressing support. Like we said, Santa Barbara passed it, but also a bunch of other cities in California. And the legislation itself has also been passed in places like New York and Vermont.
Do you have a bill number?
I don't, but I could get that to you. If,
SB 60.
684?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good. Clarifying questions or other public commenters? See if we have any on Zoom. Okay, seeing none on Zoom, and no more in person. Okay. Wonderful. Move on. Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming for your public comment. We've definitely taken all of the notes. We can't comment on public comment kind of back and forth in this session, but we have taken all your notes into consideration, and stay tuned for the next meeting. Yeah, thank you all for coming so much. Okay, so we can now move to discussion and action items. So our first discussion item is the introduction of our parking compliance program staff.
All right, so yeah, we meant to do this 2 weeks ago, but today's going to be probably even better. They worked out to come today. We've been enforcing parking for 2 weeks now, 15 days, starting April 27th, and it's been a huge success. And so I'll turn it over to Jenna to give you an overview of what's gone on, and Casey, who you'll be introduced to as well. And yeah, it's been a very successful launch, and huge kudos to our team for handling such a big launch of a big program so smoothly.
Yeah, so as Jonathan said, it's been going really well. We honestly haven't gotten too many complaints. And I think the reason is because people do know that they're doing something wrong for the most part. So that's great. And I personally noticed a difference driving down at least Camino Pescadero and the Embarcaderos. Like, it just mostly people complying, not parking in the red. So that's been huge. We've also noticed a lot of compliance having to do with parking on sidewalks too. So it's been really cool to notice the difference. But I want to introduce Casey, who is our full-time parking compliance project manager. She's just been doing an absolutely amazing job. It's been interesting because I just have to keep remembering that I don't have to do everything, because Casey is just so on top of it. Like, could not ever have done this without her. And then we also have Isaac, who's our part-time parking ambassador, but he unfortunately couldn't be here today because he has another job. But yeah, I think now that it's been a couple weeks, we have kind of a better direction of where we need to go in terms of education. And there's actually been a lot of people who are really happy. I think that this program is really going to improve our relationship with groups that we may not have gotten a chance to interact with as much as yeah, as much. But Casey, I want to just hand it over to you. Anything you want to mention, any anecdotes you want to share from the past couple weeks?
Yeah, I think I've had some good interactions with people. Some people I've run into are really excited to have, especially like daylighting corners, fewer cars parked there. A lot of people have like told me that they've witnessed close accidents. So that's been good to hear people like happy about that. Business owners are pretty excited about this as well. I've had some interactions where people started off not too happy with me. But they ended up, at the end of the day, they understood the intention and they kind of like moved along and got over it.
Yeah, and we have a little bit of data to share with you as well. Do you want to share your screen, Jonathan?
Give me a second, we'll get it up. Okay, here, let me clean that up.
Okay.
You're ready.
Okay. All right. So looking at this chart, and I just want to give a few highlights first. We've given about 600 citations since the 27th. That's when we started giving them out. And as you can see, parking in the red zone is by far the biggest violation, 341 citations for that. And then following after that is sidewalks, which has definitely been a huge issue that we've kind of had to broach very carefully. I mean, as we know, there's a lot more than just 139 sidewalk parking offenders, but due to the density of those violations in some areas, we need to be careful, and we really plan on honing in this summer, trying to get property owners to educate their residents about parking in the driveway and targeting the actual houses where this is the biggest issue.
What do you mean parking in the sidewalks? I'm sorry. That doesn't
Okay,
make
so
sense to
that's
me.
a good question.
Okay.
Pull
So
up,
Trying to visualize.
So some people literally
Exactly
park
that.
on horizontal
Yes.
Wow.
on the sidewalk.
Yes.
But
Okay.
mostly what the issue is
I'll
like
bring it.
they'll park behind their housemate
Mhm.
and now they're blocking the
So
sidewalk.
blocking the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like somewhat of pedestrian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they'd
Got
have
it,
to go
okay.
into the
Around.
street or cross.
Got it.
So
Especially on TP. Yeah, it's TP.
this is a good example of, parking
Is
on
that
the
just Google
sidewalk.
Maps you pulled up random? Yeah, that's perfect.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. got it.
so
The fact that that's Google Maps too. Just
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's
a
helpful.
random screenshot. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Let me
trying
get the data back up.
And there's more egregious cases. I've seen worse.
Cool.
Okay. And I also just want to send you, Jonathan, in case you're able to share that side by side of the driveways the other day.
Yeah.
In case you want to pull it up. But anyways, yeah, this is a great overview. And as you can see, it added up to almost $24,000. We've only been paid close to 5,000 so far, and we're owed almost 17,000. So pretty big numbers for it being 2 weeks. You want to go to the next slide?
Is this a long line?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Question?
Yeah.
Is this about what you anticipated when you were kind of
I think
predicting?
it's a lot more.
A lot more?
A lot more than we were anticipating,
Mhm.
but it makes sense for the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we're, like Jenna said, we're already seeing compliance, so hopefully those numbers go down.
Got it.
And we're also seeing repeat offenders in the first week of this. So some people are just knowingly doing it over and over again. But overall, it's been positive and compliance is starting to occur. So here's a couple maps generated for us by Data Ticket. And yeah, you can just see that
I'll email this to you.
we are pretty evenly hitting all of Isla Vista. I would say this is what I would expect in terms of like a heat map. And I'm sure that it really correlates with those high collision zones as well.
Yeah.
So super interesting.
And we're gonna pull up a success story of a sidewalk that did get cleared because of the engagement that Jenna and Casey did with the property owners and the residents at a Wolf and Associates property. So this is an example of a sidewalk that previously was fully blocked.
Wow.
That now has the people, just pulled in a little more. And we worked with the property owner. Jenna, do you want to talk about like some of the how the tickets created some friction that created solutions?
Yeah, so this didn't happen too often, but a couple times some residents reached out to us saying that they received a citation or a warning for parking in a space that they actually paid for.
So they're paying for the sidewalk
Yeah,
potentially?
for the public right of way.
Cool.
So, we recommended that they immediately contact their property owners, but also just because we weren't bombarded with these requests, I also went out of my way to contact the property manager as well, and they were very on it. And the people are no longer parked there anymore. So we are trying to work with folks who reach out and tell us that like, hey, we paid for this spot, but it has not happened very often, maybe 3 times. So definitely this was one of the properties or the management companies, not the exact property that had this issue of selling the space, but like clearly the message was translated at least to this property because it just looks amazing, especially in contrast to the neighboring properties. It's pretty crazy.
This is on DP, middle of 6-6 block, which is amazing.
Wow.
And I can show the neighbor property. Same day, same morning,
Right next door.
Jeez, crime. That's
So-
crazy.
We're working to still engage with everybody. We were able to work with this property owner pretty quickly to get a message out to the residents, but plan is to work with everybody. Not all of these were paid parking. Some of them is just
Yeah,
illegal parking.
Yeah.
most of those I
Yeah.
would say
Yeah.
aren't. Anything else that you'd like to add?
I'll just add a couple more things that Casey's just been amazing. Has an organizer's background and it really has applied really well to this job because it's not just about writing tickets, it's about engaging with residents, property owners, businesses to find solutions to, simple and complicated issues, both of them. And so I've been really, I saw Casey out in the field when we were doing the field training a couple weeks ago, and there was an issue on Cervantes, and it was just, lots of different people, lots of different opinions, and he handled it really well with Isaac, just talking to people, figuring something out. Everyone seemed happy at the end, and we have a new contact. And the property manager of a building, it's great to have a contact at now. And also Jenna, like there's been like 100 million moving pieces every day. This has been really complicated and has handled it so smoothly. There haven't been complaints, right? I don't think we've received a couple appeals to some of the tickets, but I think there was a lot of education before, and we've even noticed so far in our budget survey that the people who did get the education flyers, huge majority of them found them very helpful. So it's been a smooth rollout, and on the technical side, on the community side. So I want to thank our team. And Sydney had a huge role too on the back end of the administrative things, and Maya's team was the one that did the education flyers. So whole team really pulled this off. It's been huge, and it's been quiet, but in a good way quiet.
Yeah, everyone's been very involved. There's more to go, but it's going really well. And also, I feel like our relationship with Foot Patrol in this endeavor has been really positive. They totally have our back. If we have any issues, we can be strategic about it. And like, for example, if there's a problem area and we know the person who owns the car is maybe aggressive, then we don't touch it. They do. So it's been awesome. There's one instance where some people were particularly aggressive when Isaac was citing for a sidewalk issue. And so I just told Foot Patrol and they went and they actually knocked on the people's door, spoke to them, and they will be monitoring the situation. So it's just such a great partnership.
Because just to remind everybody, parking enforcement staff have sometimes the same levels of PTSD as law enforcement officers. So they do face, tough challenges out in the field too.
One, I wanted to ask Casey. Hi. When you go out, are you ever by yourself? Are you always with Isaac?
Most of the time we're by ourselves.
Okay, because he's part-time. And then I also wanted to ask, do you cite for parking more than 72 hours in a location?
We normally do that by resident report, or if we see a vehicle that looks like it's been there for a while. And
Got it.
that moment we'll put a notice on the car, we chalk it, and then come back in a few days. To check back and see if the car ready.
That's helpful. And then if I was just curious about, since you mentioned PTSD, do you have protocols in place for if you are feeling unsafe?
Yeah, I mean, call 911.
Yeah, okay, obviously.
But we've done other things, like we said, we're gonna not be on any one location for too long. We'll be
Got
moving
it.
around constantly so that,
Got it.
she can get it to different areas.
Got it.
Yeah, and in which I'll talk about this a bit in my presentation later, but they've had training, de-escalation training, and are just really encouraged to leave the minute something gets heated.
Got it.
I was interested in what your hours of enforcement are. Are they regular or do you change it up?
They change pretty frequently. On weekends, it starts a little bit earlier, just the way it works. But generally, I think anytime between like 6 a.m. is the earliest we've gone. And I think we've gone till 9-ish, but it's not gonna, there is intention to go later. It's not a specific time.
It does seem like it's beneficial to have your hours be kind of surprising to people.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yes, definitely. And then if people don't pay their fines, we don't have any further involvement in it, but what happens to that?
It goes to the franchise tax board. And there's a DMV hold.
Eventually, or?
Well, the DMV hold is on the registration, so it's, within a year, sometime, 12 months or 1 month.
So it doesn't show up until the registration's due?
No, I mean, they'll get a notice that they owe a ticket. They'll get late notices. The registered owner will, which has been different usually than the driver. But that person will continue to receive notices and late fees that accumulate, and notices to pay. And eventually when they go to do their car registration, they'll have to pay it essentially when they pay that, or it'll go to the franchise tax board to be garnished with a tax refund.
And do I remember from when we were researching this that there's a certain limit to how many tickets you have to pay in a period of time, or is it unlimited?
There are limits around, and we can get the exact details on this, but there's limits on how tickets and towing work. And that's like state Supreme Court rulings, but we're not doing towing.
Sure.
So
It's not
applicable right now to us.
Well, thanks. That's very exciting. Good work.
It really seemed like one of the hardest things ever in Isla Vista for the longest time. It was just quietly accomplished. But this is a big win. Soltopia was a huge win, but this was just as big, I think, especially for our long-term needs for the community in terms of housing and mobility. So it took a lot of work, And it's never been done before. A lot of people run parking programs, not a lot of people start parking programs.
Yeah.
So that's a huge accomplishment for Jenna
Well,
and
let's
Casey. And
keep an eye on the PTSD too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
head that off,
Yeah, definitely.
please.
Yeah, and one other thing that I have noticed that's been interesting is I think that because there was no enforcement, people were parking in certain ways that they didn't necessarily have to. Like maybe they could have just, for example, moved 2 feet forward in their driveway and would have not been in the sidewalk. So I think let's not forget about those situations where, I mean, no parking is being lost anyways, because like only illegal parking spaces are being like unallowed at this point. But let's not forget, like, there are some spaces that were illegal that didn't have to be if the resident just put in a little bit more effort. And I think we're seeing that effort, if that makes sense.
I will say on that note, I also have, when I run into a lot of those cars, I'll write a comment on the ticket itself and say like, if you can pull car, like 2 feet forward.
Great.
Like can pull car off sidewalk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I appreciate you guys talking about the like driveway sidewalk issues because, I think that's really interesting. It sounds like maybe the property owners aren't communicating as much as they should with the residents about what's allowed or not allowed. And I know at least for my property, we have tandem spots where there's 2 cars and it technically like cars do end up going over, but, I think for us, I do believe it's in the lease, but also it was kind of like a comment made during movement of like, you can fit 2 cars here maybe, but if they go over, you can get a ticket. So I think like going forward, as you said, with summer, like wanting to focus more on kind of figuring that, those kinds of things, that would be really great. Cause I think maybe some property managers aren't communicating the way they should about the spots. They are a lot of them are marketed as like, this is a 2-car spot, but it's like, it's only a 2-car spot if you can fit
Yeah.
within the space, you know, so I think that's a big thing, but, I think it's great to see progress being made with that. Hopefully, as the months go on, all of that stuff will get sorted out.
I think it will. I definitely think it will. And yeah, we'll be sure to do a lot of pushing on property managers to relay that message, because not that we want to do that legwork, but if we don't, then here we are spending our time writing a million citations for the sidewalk issue. So
we always say it's our goal 0 citations. If we could write 0 sidewalk citations, life's good. That means sidewalks are all clear.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
And then hopefully this will also influence property owners to like be less inclined to add a parking, like extra charge to people's rent if they have a car. It's like some of the prices are like astronomical. Like I know people who pay $100 a month to park a car in there.
That seems to be on the lower end now.
Really?
We've seen higher ones.
Actually,
Unfortunately, yes.
that's crazy.
Yeah, 100 was like market rate like 2 years ago.
That's
Now it's like 125 or 150.
Wow.
Is there a Q&A for this?
I mean, we can take public comment. Yeah.
Be amazing.
Yeah.
I had a question. Where does the public right of way extend on the south side of Del Playa? Is it like, I know there's no like sidewalks on some parts.
well, so I couldn't
I mean,
tell
it's
you
a complicated
definitively.
question. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
fine.
couldn't. Oh, do you want?
I think if you have questions like this, are you with the news? Maybe we can take something like.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
The public right of
a
way
resident
extends
of-
into the middle of the road, actually.
or towards the property. I mean, from
Yeah.
the road towards the property.
Yeah, usually the public right of way goes into the middle of the road.
No, that I understand. From the road to the property.
Yeah.
So where the sidewalk is.
Anything like the driveway issues where there's cars extending.
Yeah, it's where the sidewalk starts, and that usually includes the driveway apron.
Okay.
Yeah, so like some people are saying, well, there is no sidewalk, but
Yeah.
there is, it's just, there has to be, like
The
Jonathan
apron.
said, an apron to allow cars to exit their driveway But that is public property, that apron, because you have to imagine if you're walking or in a wheelchair or have a stroller and you're going down,
Of course.
like that's what you would be using as the sidewalk
I guess
to
my
travel.
question is, but so there is like a sidewalk on all streets in Isla Vista, is what I'm saying. Like
Not
every-
all streets, but pretty much the whole south side of Del Playa there is. It's just
the
a
most part, yeah.
misunderstanding
Yeah.
because it's been completely taken over by cars.
It's been hidden.
Of course. Then just my follow-up in that case is a public comment or question. One of the photos that was shown was, I believe, a property that had done fixing the tandem parking, and so they were able to paint stripes to make sure that only 2 cars parked per unit rather than 3. And the other building that was shown doesn't have those stripes in place. Yeah, yes. And then,
Yeah,
if you
they do
wanna-
have a stripe, you're right.
So that one's done, and that was done last year for
Oh, really?
parking enforcement
Mhm.
begun from IVCSD. And then if you could pan to the really terrible looking one. 6653. So that one doesn't have stripes, and those residents were told that there's 6 spots per unit, which means 3 spots out. Would it be possible for there to be a phased compliance until their current lease ends, because they were not told that that is public right of way, it was considered a driveway up to the curb?
Yeah,
And
we've been
so-
working with people
Yeah.
and writing warnings and tickets. So we did a warning period as well.
Mhm.
So those kinds of people got warnings as well.
Okay.
And we did uncover some of these issues. There was one on Cordova, I think, what was it, 66 or 65 Cordova, where there was a line actually, and people were parking over it, and they had been sold the spot.
Mm.
And we put a hold on the account while we worked it out with the residents. So if people talk to us, we'll work with them.
Sure thing. There's an email I assume I could follow up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's on our website, yeah. If you guys.
Yeah,
yeah,
there was a no warning given first session, then only tickets, and that was for, I think, like 5 cars in a row.
How many did you get? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I've only
I'm
gotten
just
one
teasing.
no warning, and that was for my car being on the apron, but up 2 feet. And so I wasn't sure how far the public right of way extends. Is that 5 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet? And so when I looked at the mobility plan published by IVCSD, it looked like there was no sidewalk on the southern portion of Del Playa, and that what existed were easements for the utility poles.
Mhm.
And so where the easements for the utility poles are, there's obviously sidewalks because they're not going to just be dirt there. But then those sidewalks, easements, and where those driveways extend to the apron, and that's why there's no sidewalk at all for those really long stretches. The sidewalks that do exist there were put by the property developers, not by the county. And so I'm still waiting for that to be totally fact checked. But I emailed a few like county and state to figure it out. But I guess I'll email you as well.
Yeah.
But I think at least us as a tenant, we were misled, and so
Yeah.
if we could just get a phase compliance until July, that'd be amazing. Especially since that part of the sidewalk isn't ADA accessible anyways. You have a utility pole on either side. Whereas the north part has full sidewalk access that's fully ADA compliant.
We know
So,
that,
yeah.
but it makes a big difference, and that sidewalk is planning on being extended, being larger.
Oh, nice.
And, you know, we have to start somewhere. We didn't see any compliance with warnings or all of the education that we've done. It's literally only when money became involved that we're starting to see compliance. So we have to start somewhere. It is a sidewalk. As you could see in that photo, it made a really big difference. And it actually, it looks a lot nicer. I would say it's the difference between a community worth respecting and then one maybe not so much. So I think it'll make a huge impact in terms of safety and beauty and just quality of life in general. But definitely email us if you find out anything on our website, on our parking and transportation page, we have an email.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for answering that. Our fantastic staff in action.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have
So,
a,
yeah, I appreciate you making that comment too, because I think that that is a big problem. As property owners should definitely be very transparent, and it makes your guys' job a lot easier too if there's better communication to tenants, especially considering the year-to-year transition, you know? Yeah, and it's unfortunate that there are properties that are being marketed as having a certain amount of spots that aren't feasible given just like parking regulations. So hopefully it'll get sorted out.
Yeah, but I do encourage those people to reach out if they were told that they could,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
Right, because we have an issue now of you're selling the public right away for
Yeah.
profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know how
Quite
long the
concerning.
right of way is? Does anyone know?
The right of way is where the apron is or where the sidewalk is.
But there's no, there's no
It's
sidewalk,
not
it's just the
uniform.
driveway,
There's not
so.
one answer. So let's talk and we
Okay.
can talk, look at
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Or like just slightly
Yeah.
faster and then another angle. So
I'd love to park in compliance, I just don't know
Yeah, yeah.
how far.
No,
Yeah,
well,
no, it's a fair
well,
question.
I can't answer this off the top of my
I
head.
understand.
Out of nowhere, so.
Yeah.
We appreciate your question.
No one says it. I'll never be.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one would have ever came up.
Yeah. Yeah, if we have any other questions, kind of relatedly, how much traction have we had on the list we've compiled of private spots that are available for like anyone to purchase?
That's a good question. We're actually looking into that right now. Casey's on it. We're gonna email the people who we put on the list and just ask like, hey, how has it gone? Have people reached out? Right now, I know that it's getting towards the end of the school year, so people might be more unlikely to do that. However, the hope is that since we're doing it now and it is very real and there is money involved, that they now have the whole summer to figure that out. So hopefully, if it wasn't being utilized before, it will be come September, but we're definitely looking into that. That's a great question.
Yeah, it's fantastic because I keep hearing like, oh, you guys should get a list together of all these private spots. I'm like, we do have a list. So I was just curious about that. Also, so I know that our like your guys' job is part writing tickets and then part community engagement. So kind of what does that community engagement look like, or like kind of what does a day in the life of work look for you? Kind of outside writing tickets or in addition to that?
the first month we did tabling a couple times a week, so we were talking to residents when they were going by Part All or by the community center, just chatting with them about parking laws and making sure they understood what's going on. And then in the when we're out every day, we run into people, have a lot of conversations with them, especially when they kind of see you just staring at a car for a couple minutes. They come up and ask what's going on. And that has been a good chance to talk to people. A lot of them didn't realize a lot of the parking laws even existed. So that's been a good time to talk. We have a bunch of stuff on us to give to people. We have the free pizza slice coupons. And then other supplies like Narcan and fentanyl test strips that we've also been handing out to residents.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really like the community engagement part, and I've saw Isaac in the field who was writing tickets in front of like red zone fire hydrant in front of fraternity house, and he did an excellent job talking bro to them when they all came out very concerned. Why are you giving me a ticket? Oh, well, you're parked in front of the fire hydrant, and kind of explaining some safety practicalities about that, and they walked away understanding and then happy. So he did a good job with that. So I'm excited to see the community engagement part.
Oh, I love a couple things, couple comments. I love the comment, whoever made it in the News Hawk article. Somebody asked, why are you enforcing these? Or I think maybe it was you, Casey. And somebody said, are these new laws? I don't know who said it, but it was so funny. No, these are not. These are the same laws you follow anywhere. It's just now they're being enforced. So I just thought the public outreach in terms of media was really good. And I'm going to channel Spencer since he's not here, because Spencer is really good at acknowledging the moment, the significance. And so I want to acknowledge the moment here, because this is a huge, huge, huge milestone. I don't compare it to Siltopia because I think it's bigger, actually. Parking issues have been a huge issue in this community for probably 50 years. I mean, seriously, this is I mean, I can tell you, I lived here 40 years ago, good Lord, maybe a little bit less than that. And always, parking has always been a big issue. So if you think about what you all have created here, what we've actually all contributed to, it's amazing and significant. And there's been so many naysayers along the way, people who have said this can never be done, the culture can't be changed, blah, blah, blah. And I think one of the things that I just love about the IVCSD is that IVCSD listens to the naysayers and says, nope, we're going to do it. And the parking program and the implementation of this and the successful implementation is just really testament to the type of cultural changes that the IVCSD is spearheading. And like I said, there's been a lot of people for many years that have been part of this, have been naysayers. And I just think it's so great for all of us to be witness to, you know, really doing something positive in this community and people being receptive to it. So I just want to acknowledge everyone in the universe who's had a role in this, but especially you all. Jenna, you've done a fantastic job. And Jonathan, of course, you lead a great team and everyone involved. So I just want to acknowledge it.
Good job.
Thank you. That was a very good Spencer.
Spencer would be proud of me, wouldn't he?
Yeah, very good,
Yeah.
Spencer. We should get you for impressions. Any other board public comments in person or on Zoom? Okay. Well, seeing that, we can move on to our next agenda item, 4.2, the Ivy Safe April 2026 meeting report out.
Edward, did you want to?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about,
I can fill in.
yeah, you could pull up the, well, I can pull it up on my actually. Yeah, it seemed very productive. It was a very, like, everybody was just complimenting Maya. There was a lot of that going around. So that was good. And it seemed like people were all very, like, appreciative of Soultopia. Nobody had anything bad to say about it. The only complaint there was about the parking. There was like some issue with traffic as a result of the festival grounds, but that's not like a big deal or anything. That was like the main thing. Oh, I mean, Laura Capps she gave her update on the budget and she talked about why they're cutting. Yeah, she was there. She was talking about justifying why they're cutting the social programs in Santa Barbara. And she said that her justification is that because the main funding getting cut from the federal government is funding for social programs. And so without that funding, their social programs aren't as feasible. So it's harder to do them. So that's her reasoning for why those programs are facing the chopping block. And then parking compliance in Ivy, like the CSD personnel gave the presentation on it and everybody seemed receptive to it. I think the older demographic of the audience definitely was happy to hear about the parking program.
Perhaps in reference to our less engaged residents. Mayhaps.
Yeah. That's all that I can remember. Jonathan, I don't know if there's something that I'm missing.
Yeah, during the county budget update, when they were talking about, you know, the cuts to the foot patrol as well. And so their office requested that we put that on the agenda. So that wasn't there originally when we had looked at this, but they suggested we put it on. So Spencer prepared a slide of alternatives to the foot patrol. So the slow San Luis Obispo SNAP program, which has students respond to noise complaints, or taking the Soultopia Guardian model and using it on Friday and Saturday nights on DP and the Loop. And then also doing like a business association, nightlife, arts, culture grant program to put on more events of the businesses on Friday and Saturday nights. So we presented on those things and they were very well received by everybody. There's a meeting next Tuesday with the county CEO's office, UCSB, and the sheriff's office on these unarmed alternatives to law enforcement responses in Isla Vista. So we're in the center of it because we are proposing a alternative plan for how to deal with the safety issues in IV without the funding for the patrol. So we're putting those numbers together right now, but it's definitely way cheaper to deploy something like the Guardian team for 30 nights of the week of the month of the year. Sorry, well, but that's not a huge budget amount. So I don't want to say a number right now, but we had an estimated number then of maybe 150, but could go up a little bit. But that was well received. I mean, I think it's good that IVCSD is the one putting forward ideas and proposals, and we're meeting with the chief brass next week. Sheriff will be there, UCSB administration, and the county CEO.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that the reception of our ideas was well received. Was that pretty generally?
Pretty general. And so far in our budget, so we've been doing our budget survey, and we put a question saying, here's the ideas we're working on in response to the foot patrol budget being cut. And we were very direct about this is happening, so we are working on this. And we gave some context, we don't run the police, we are totally separate, and but here's what we're able to do by law. And so far in our survey, people are saying that we are on the right track in these different program approaches we're having, which is the nightlife events and the unarmed guardians from Soltopia. So that's good. I think we have residents behind it and the agencies behind it, long-term residents and students seem to both, based on the survey results so far, which is not a conclusive sample or scientific, but 75 people who've taken it so far. We haven't heard a no, this is a horrible idea.
Yeah, that sounds good. And how was reception of Supervisor Capps and her update about the budget and potential cuts?
This was what the response was talking about these alternatives.
Right, no, but I mean so our alternatives were well received, but was there any initial reception on her update, or just
it just went straight into what we talked about?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Any other board comment questions? Do you have public comments or questions on Zoom or in person? Okay. Seeing no public comments on Zoom, right? Okay, perfect. Seems we have no public comments Zoom in person. For any further board comments, we can move along to item 4.3 on our agenda, Public Works and Sustainability Annual Report.
It's a very large document. You might not have been able to open it in Google Maps, but that's in Google Docs, but that's because there's a lot of great pictures.
Awesome.
And stuff that Jen's put together. So let me make this full screen. I'm not sure why I said, give me a second to make it full screen. And
when I saw there were 51 pages, I'm like, Jonathan, haven't we talked about this?
it's pictures.
It'll be fun.
Yeah,
I'll be fine. No, it was actually a really good presentation.
Yeah.
We thought it was 50 pages of text.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. All right. I'll scroll for you.
What?
I'll scroll for you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, well, I think this is our first, let me get to this thing. Okay, I think this is our first Public Works and Sustainability Annual Report. In the past, we've done Isla Vista Beautiful and Compost Collective, but over the past couple years, I think it's pretty seamlessly come under one roof, and things are going really well. So just as a reminder, this is reviewing data from April 2025 to this past April. So let's start with designing our dream community and kind of a bird's eye view of how we're going about that before we get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of things. So first, talking about the key ingredients of our public work and sustainability department. So first, there's me, the director, and then under me, you'll see we have a lot of new positions. First of all, we have our whole parking compliance program. So we have a full-time manager, and under that, a part-time ambassador. We have our part-time bike engineer, Matt, who has just proved to be absolutely invaluable. And then we have our Public Works and Sustainability Project Manager, Nico, who couldn't be here today because a club meeting got moved to this time, but I can't wait for you to meet him. He actually was in our CLE class. Then he was a sustainability support staff member, then he was a lead, and now he'll be starting full-time with us when he graduates in June. Under that, we have two sustainability support staff leads. They do a lot of the work that the sustainability support staff members do on the ground: compost pile maintenance, food scrap processing, graffiti abatement, trash and glass pickup. But they help me a little bit more with like a little bit higher level tasks, like spreadsheets and procedures, that type of thing. It's been really helpful, but clearly my team has grown a lot. And next, another key ingredient is our budget. Most of the budget does go to beautification, and this all includes staff. And then going further into our recipe for success, so how we use these ingredients. Here is a list of some of the things that contribute to the greater product that we'll talk about in just a second. But street cleanup, tree planting initiatives, our street lighting distribution program, parking management and enforcement, mobility infrastructure improvements. These are all tactics that are a part of our recipe that then, if you want to go to the next page, become outcomes. And so this is what our product would be. And I've broken it down into 3 different sections. These are all things, like I said, that we'll be talking about today in more detail. But those tactics beget increased resident satisfaction with cleanliness, lightings, trees, art, general neighborhood appearance, enhanced resident sense of pride and belonging within their neighborhood, increased tree equity scores. So that's a few from neighborhood improvement, waste management, waste diversion options available to meet many needs. Home composting becomes an ingrained community practice with high participation rates over time. Then going to parking and mobility, reduction in parking congestion, increased use of alternative transportation. So these are what we hope will happen as we use the tactics shared in our previous slide. And then next is the overall end goal that we're hoping to reach. And this to me is the taste test. It's what success actually feels like. And that is Isla Vista residents enjoy a sustainable and high quality of life in their housing, parking, transportation, and neighborhood beauty. So that's the end goal. And then on the next slide, you can see just a little preview of the IVCN Clean and Green that we spent a lot of time on in the past year. This presentation used kind of the same structure that I just went over based on our strategic plan in order to explore the resources committed to our community by each agency. And I think it's important to note that collaboration with these agencies has become stronger over time. And this is really led to some high impact. So now getting into public works and sustainability programming in practice. So I gave you a bird's eye view, but let's get into what is actually happening on the ground. So we're going to start here with neighborhood improvement. We'll try out these new categories that I created. I think that they fit pretty nicely together. So next slide. So this is our resident reports. You might remember that years ago we had C-Click Fix that we spent like $10,000 a year on, and we tried so hard, but people just would not use it. It never caught on. So then we ended up having a Google form. we tried to encourage people to report that way, and that was a lot more successful. But by far, this is our most successful year. As I said, it's a 600% increase in report submissions on our website. And trash pickup / illegal dumping and overflowing / poorly maintained trash bins are the two most reported issues. And so with these resident reports, whenever possible, I have my staff handle it if it's broken glass or trash or graffiti. But in other instances, I will refer it to the department that can handle it. So next is trash and glass pickup. And I'm not trying to break my record every year with this number. I hope for it to get less and less each year. But last year was the first time we had a part-time person specifically dedicated to this task. So for that reason, the numbers probably are higher than in previous years, and that's actually a good thing. So 770 pounds of trash picked up and 201 piles of glass. And just as a reminder, the reason that we do glass by piles is when you sweep up the glass, you're also sweeping up a bunch of dirt, and dirt is heavy. And so it's just not accurate to do it by weight. You could see a nice, pretty before and after photo, and my staff working hard, cleaning up some trash and doing some sweeping. And then going to the next slide is street sweeping. So you might remember that last year we had a couple volunteer events where we had volunteers sweep the gutters, and they ended up getting like a couple thousand pounds of debris or something like that. That kind of ended up being a little too complicated of a volunteer opportunity, but I wish Nico was here to share more about this. Basically, I just gave him this project, and in the last like 9 months, he's been working like once a week to sweep all the gutters in Isla Vista. So this map basically, and it's not complete yet because he's still working on it, but you could see like there are lines that represent every block and every side of the street on every block, some of which are yellow, some are orange, some are red. Obviously the red is the most debris, like he weighs each block, each side of the street. And he actually has a Google My Maps where all of this is documented, and you can actually like click on each line to see what the weight is, and also read about any problems on that block, on that side of the street that might be contributing to the problem. Like, for example, there's a huge tree in this location that it has a lot of leaves constantly falling from it. So, and the reason I'm having him do this is now we have parking enforcement. So now we can hopefully start very slowly to restrict parking just a little bit in different areas sometimes, so that it can be thoroughly swept by the street sweeper. And I think that this information is super important to have, so we at least have a little bit of direction. Okay, so next is power washing. This is such a simple slide, but such an important part of the program. So this year, we've had 25 tags, kind of like the ones that you see here, some even bigger. Power wash from sidewalks and streets. Reason this is important is because these are things my team can't tackle. They'd be scrubbing for a long time. They obviously can't be squatting down in the street. And so it's absolutely essential to have it power washed. I've been working with this local company for a long time. Next is graffiti. So we've abated about 340 instances of graffiti, and this is actually down a lot from previous years, which is really good. I think that the first year I presented on Ivy Beautiful, there was like 600 plus tags that we abated. And I think that it was just us trying to get the situation under control because it had been ignored for so long. So I feel like 340 is probably what around the amount we'll be looking at going forward every year. But you could see some of the amazing work that my team has done. So next, of course, art. Really exciting. We finally got the new Welcome to Isla Vista sign created and installed. It took me a lot of like poking at UCSB because this is UCSB's property that the sign is on, getting permission, memorandum about MOU. And then finding an amazing local woodworker who saw my vision. We just wanted to make it pretty much exactly how it was before because it's one of the few historical things left in Isla Vista. And then, of course, the big mural on the corner of Picasso and Camino Pescadero. That's the largest mural that we funded and the first on private property. It's really pretty, and I think it's super cool because it's in the daylighting zone. And so Jonathan says that like he drives by and if he can't see the mural, he knows that there's a car that's not in compliance there. So next.
I've been seeing it a lot lately.
Yeah, me too. So next is our lighting distribution initiative. And this is very new. We've had so much going on that it hasn't really gotten advertised that much. So we don't know its full potential just yet, but huge success that everything is in place. So essentially this distribution initiative entails the distribution of lights that are not installed, such as string lights available to tenants. And then for property owners, and this is really where we want to push in the next year because it'll make the highest impact, we offer free outdoor rated fixtures like the ones from the catalog that you see on the right, and they would install them themselves. And we also offer lighting improvement grants for property owners. So say they want to do more of a complicated project that involves more than just installing a porch light, then we could maybe help fund that. And we have the application process all set up. So next year, hopefully we'll get some bites on this program. Like I said, hasn't been too widely advertised just yet. So next is trees. So we've been working with Your Children's Trees. We have a little deal with them where they provide some tree selection consulting, maintenance advice, helping us source high quality trees and tree delivery, because something that we've learned is you can't just say to a nursery, I want 5 of this type of tree. You have to be there in person and know what you're looking for to make sure like this is a high quality tree and you don't foresee any issues with the tree itself when it gets bigger, which is why it's super important to have an arborist on our team. We've just helped to distribute around 20 trees in the last year. So that's been awesome. And then I just wanted to mention a few other things because it's really hard to capture all that we do just through these statistics. One is shopping carts. Our team spots abandoned shopping carts and reports them to the correct entity for removal. Sometimes it's more complicated, sometimes less complicated, and we try to follow through to make sure that those carts are removed. But just an example of something that doesn't get documented as much that we do. Another thing is infrastructure issues. So this is huge. Nico actually just finished going all around Isla Vista and documenting every infrastructure problem, which is something that I've wanted to be done for so long. So now he's going to go ahead and help like prioritize the issues so that we can give it to the county. But what I say here is whether we receive reports about or spot severe issues, we document and refer to the correct agency. So it's happened a lot where residents have emailed us about potholes, uplifted sidewalks, stuff like that. And I have a really good relationship with especially the roads department. And they've been so good about just fixing these issues immediately. They definitely value our suggestions and resident reports. And one little thing I wanted to share that's depicted in the graphic to the right is there's this situation on Segovia that you might be familiar with where water just wouldn't drain. And it has a lot to do with the fact that like there's a property that has a pump that's pumping water from its underground parking structure onto the street constantly. So the issue's still not 100% fixed, but the water had been sitting there so long, there was just a ton of algae, which is one, not good when it gets in the storm drain, two, very ugly. Three, we got a report from someone that they actually slipped on it. So first, what we did is we worked with the county to actually restrict parking in that area so that the street sweeper could come and just do a good clean. And then a couple months later, Public Works actually came in and regraded the area because it had gotten messed up from some tree roots. And so it's not perfect, but it's a lot better. And I think this is a great example of how a resident report then comes to us, we do our legwork, and then the county ultimately takes it on for a more permanent fix. And then last but not least, we track bulky items and dumpings to just make sure that those things move along through Marburg or code enforcement. It's not always perfect, but we try. And then the next page, I just wanted to squeeze in a little bit about volunteerism. So we finally launched our Adopt a Block in-house program. So I don't have too many stats about that yet, but I will say a lot of groups have been reaching out to us to rent our buckets. So like that's been a lot more popular than the actual office hours. But I think it'll catch on, and eventually we want to have 2 office hours every week rather than just 1. We will have a self-serve option coming soon. The goal is to have buckets and grabbers in our shed, and similar to the lockbox here, we would give out a code and people can go grab stuff themselves. It may just be limited to clubs and organizations or individuals who we have more of a relationship with. We'll see. Then I wanted to share some stats from the post-Deltopia cleanup. We partnered with IVRPD, but we really led it this time. And I just want you to notice, like I put the 2026 stats next to the 2025 stats. So we had kind of a similar amount of volunteers, but way less trash. And I definitely think that's because of Soltopia. Most of the trash actually made it in a receptacle and we dealt with the rest. Also, we still do our compost maintenance volunteer days every Thursday from 1 to 3. That's been a good turnout. And also my team would be there anyways doing maintenance. So it's a win-win. We've had a couple sifting Sundays and a pumpkin pickup event where volunteers helped us pick up pumpkins from people's doorstep. Okay, so next is waste management. So one big thing, of course, is this new ordinance getting passed. The graphic on the right really barely explains anything, but just as a review, this new ordinance changes service responsibility from tenants to property providers. It changes service requirements, the updated minimum level of service levels. So now we're going to have carts and not bins with a higher capacity. And these carts will have lids attached to them. So that alone we hope will help. Container management, year-round service. So most properties will always have trash service all year. And then enforcement. They made it easier to mandate these service adjustments. And I believe it goes into effect July 1st. Yeah. Okay, so next, Compost Collective. We've diverted around 12,000 food scraps from the landfill. This is a little bit lower than last year, but we're still equalizing after not doing collections. And I think that it's going pretty well. We're getting into the groove of what that looks like in terms of operations. We also picked up 645 pounds of pumpkins. So we really try to use that time around after Halloween to educate people on the importance of composting their pumpkins, but hope that that will translate to all types of organics. And that's a huge increase from what we collected last year. And then furthermore, just kind of how we were able to pull all of that off, we started renting out some food scrap buckets to residents so that they could easily transport and store and transport their food scraps to and from the drop-off bins. And we successfully added 2 more 24/7 drop-off bin locations. So that's just definitely made it more accessible, and we will continue to try to add more. Next is our IVCSD donation pickup service, something that happens all year round, but is most popular in June. So I've just seen an increase in signups just right now, but in June, expect to pick up a lot more. So we've collected around 2,608 pounds of items that we then donate to the thrift store. And we had about 82 signups to have things picked up. So that's 34 more than last year. Just means that it's catching on and people know to go to us for that purpose. Education, of course, is always a huge part of our operations. We include things like how to use our services, program highlights, sustainable practices, proper waste management, involvement opportunities, and targeted outreach. So next, going on to move out. Last year, we collected 773 cardboard boxes from businesses that otherwise would have been thrown away. And all of those were given out. This is a huge increase from last year. Hope to beat it this year, but we have a lot going on. And then next is our yard sale. So this past May, we had 125 people selling items at our yard sale. That's a 34% increase from last year. So these programs, like I said, are becoming more well-known and participation rates are increasing. And then, of course, there is Hauling for You, the local company that we contract to come and pick up trash and organize bulky items. In June and beginning of July, they picked up 14,364 gallons of trash. Here are some wonderful before and after photos. And every year I feel like we're just working closer and more seamlessly with Marburg and code enforcement to make this happen and then ensure that these bags get picked up quickly so that we're not having to clean up double, So next, we did a few new things last move out season. One being that we had a donation collection site at Rodapel, that IVRPD, they let us use the space. So we had a big Marburg container there. And Viviana's give sale people would come in their truck to that location to get everything out of the container and bring it to Embarcadero Hall. So it's essentially an extension of the give sale drop-off location. And so this number of cubic feet, it essentially means that we filled 2.5 of those 8 by 26 foot containers with donations, and 53 people dropped off at this site. So I think it was very accessible to the folks who lived in that general area. We collected 1,455 pounds of non-perishable food to donate. We had a new service with junk luggers where we paid them like a lump sum, and with that money, they were able to determine how many people they could pick up bulky items in good condition from, and then bring those items to the give sale. So we were able to save 40 bulky items that would have otherwise been thrown away with that initiative. And we had 2 e-waste collection events. So next is our move-in sale. Over the summer, we saved 3 of those large containers full of stuff left over from the give sale. And we sold them for really inexpensive prices at the move-in sale. People were super happy. And here's just a few highlights. We saved 20 couches, 39 tables, and 63 chairs. And here's a compilation of some of our education and outreach material, including a peek at our website. And just by the way, we also now have a move-in version that looks similar to the move-out website, but it's, you know, more geared towards move-in. Alrighty, so next is parking. I know we talked a lot about it already, so that's great, but here's just a little bit of an overview of what we've been up to in order to create this program. So far, what we've been doing is meeting and learning from others. So meeting with a lot of other parking agencies and getting some advice from them. We selected and set up our citation software company, which is Data Ticket. Worked with Public Works to update infrastructure, hired and trained our 2 amazing team members, designed and purchased custom uniforms, purchased and customized a parking compliance e-bike, built out an informative parking and transportation webpage, conducted extensive educational outreach, launched social media campaigns, created ways to encourage positive interaction with staff or with parking staff, and started writing citations. I had to read every one of those because they were all very significant steps in the process. So next page is all about infrastructure. We're really lucky. Can we get the next page on? We're really lucky that Public Works has been working super closely with us to make sure that most of Isla Vista is now daylight compliant. So most of the area that is considered daylighting is red, and we wouldn't cite if it wasn't red. So there are still a few areas that need to be updated, and for now, we're not going to be citing those areas, but we're really just working with them to make sure everything's up to date in terms of curbs, signage, etc., to make it so that 1, people comply, 2, we can cite if it comes down to it. So next, staff training and community introduction. So my staff, Casey and Isaac, they went through 2 de-escalation and procedural trainings from professionals. 1 Santa Barbara City ride-along with their enforcement team, training on the IVCSD programs and resources, which we felt is super important because they are ambassadors of our community. And then correspondence with a lot of local stakeholders because we just want everyone to be in the loop. So next is public interaction. So what is in their bag? We talked a little bit about this earlier, but aside from the tools that they need to do their job, our staff is equipped with resources like IVCSD outreach material, houseless resources brochure, Narcan, fentanyl, test strips, dog treats, yerbas if they have their bike, free pizza slice vouchers, citation education cards, and a QR code to enter a raffle. So we're just really trying to encourage positive interaction. And we feel like that's going to go a long way past even parking enforcement and compliance. So next, another thing that I spent a lot of time on is these citation education cards. So here's just a few of them, but I think in total there's maybe 12 or so, and they all correspond to a common violation. First, they state that ordinance or California Vehicle Code, and then they explain why you should not violate that vehicle code. And on every single one of them, there's a visual as well. So the goal is that my staff will pair these with every citation. It doesn't always happen, and I'm trying to make it easier by maybe combining all of these violations to one outreach material, and then maybe they just circle the whatever violation of the citation that they're giving out at that time. Okay, so next is some website highlights. We worked really hard on the parking and transportation website, filling it with information and resources. As mentioned earlier, we created an off-street parking marketplace, and it's essentially just a list of different property managers who are willing to rent parking spaces to people who don't actually live at their property. So, you know, there's at least 1,000 off-street parking spaces that are not being used, and our goal is to get people into those spaces specifically if they're not relying on their car every day. We also have an interactive map that has grocery stores, salons, bus stops, zip cars, and more. So it's a really great resource if you don't have a car. It just really makes it clear that there are an abundance of resources nearby. And if there's somewhere or something you need outside of Isla Vista, there are ways to get there. So next, as you know, we've done a ton of outreach. To the left is our fake ticket that Casey put on every single car in Isla Vista twice. And it just says parking enforcement is coming, and it's just a little reminder about the rules. The next thing that I had made and I sent to property owners to distribute through email to their residents. We've been doing a lot with Instagram, and we created a draft parking and mobility addendum every single time. I can't say the word. Just to try and encourage property owners to use it in order to make it clear to folks that of what parking is legally available to them, if any, on their property. So hopefully people will use it. But I mean, what do I know? So hopefully I can get some feedback and we can make it better, or maybe they'll adopt it and create their own. Oh, so that's parking. And lastly, and this is a really short section, mobility. So talking about measure A, and unfortunately, you can't really see the areas of sidewalk, which is weird. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I try to highlight them in red, but anyways. So we were able to earn money from Measure A. We were awarded close to $600,000 for Isla Vista sidewalk infill projects. We had the highest scoring application, which is amazing. We got a lot of letters of support and tons of photos. So all the areas in blue on this map, expect sidewalks in those locations sometime in the future. And then to the left, I just included a couple of the areas that I think are going to make the biggest impact. And then lastly, we provided a lot of support for the wave. It wasn't me, but our CE team created these really cute reels of just how to use the wave and what to use the wave for. And then of course, we are hosting a parking space for the wave at the community center. So just a little bit of an overview of our strategic goal, SMART goals, what we were able to accomplish, what we weren't, and what's still in progress. So number one, we did ensure the wave is launched, and it will continue to serve Isla Vista. We did launch a parking compliance program and a car-free education campaign. The last goal is a little more complicated. We did not get the county to allocate this fund for lighting this year, but we're definitely working very hard on it, and the issue is kind of out of our hands.
It's with Edison, even. Not
Yeah.
in the county, yeah.
What did you say? It's what?
At Southern California,
Oh,
Edison,
Edison.
at this point, the block, not Southern County.
Got it.
So next, we've launched our program that provides funding in lighting, installation fixtures, work in progress that we worked with IVRPD to acquire the Adopt a Block program, but we don't have any funding from Goleta West just yet. We've definitely expanded the number of 24/7 food scrap drop-off bins from 2 to 4. And we are in the middle of creating a catalog of past and upcoming infrastructure investments in Isla Vista. So this is not only up to us. And we do have a spreadsheet that shows some of this information, but it needs some work. And then lastly, this is actually in our control, but we just didn't get around to it, is fully implementing phase 1 of the graffiti abatement program, in meaning having a process where we can abate graffiti on private property. So, okay, and then next, we are in the middle of developing a dashboard to track progress and promote coordination efforts. And we did advocate for the passage of the new waste ordinance that ultimately got passed. So we've accomplished most of our goals this year. And then next slide, I know this is a little anticlimactic, but ultimately this year was a huge success, and plans for next year include really just honing and perfecting existing procedures and continuing to develop this parking compliance program. The end. Thank you for listening to me.
That was majorly impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, this used to be like 8 reports. Now it's all in one.
I know.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's an amazingly successful year.
That is.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of comments and appreciation, but first, do we have any public comment in person or on Zoom? No? Okay. Seeing none. Board members? Yeah.
Comments, questions?
Congrats.
Super impressive.
This presentation is impressive.
Oh, I'm glad you think so.
That's a lot of information.
That's a lot of work to do.
I
It's like
know.
And
almost
so
half our budget is
successfully,
spent in this
too.
area.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Creating a presentation.
No, half our
No.
budget is on the public works area.
And part of it, when you see it all like that too, you just see the tone that we put forth on everything, which is so unbureaucratic, it's so friendly, it's so small town, civically minded. It really is, it's just very heartwarming to see. Great job. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I have to echo that. I love the vision you have for IV and how you started it with let's, imagine the town that we want. Where that's so powerful. And I'm just so pleased with all of the work that you're doing. If you'll allow me to get nerdy for a second, one of the past UCSB read books was Happy City. And I read that. I love that book. And I think Isla Vista is a happy city, and of course, we spend half of our budget on this because this is how we are the happy city, which I am always so proud of. So thank you for that. And I also just love the relationships you're building with relevant entities and community members. I'm so happy to see that, like, hey, Public Works is coming out here and, painting, or, we have a great relationship with Public Works again, but, for fixing, issues in the sidewalk. It's these relationships that are really invaluable. That, hard to quantify, but very invaluable.
Yeah, I think it's all amazing, but I wanted to specifically say that I really love the move out and move in just entire program. I think that that's amazing, and it's really like going above and beyond to respond to the specific community needs. Like, we know that a lot of people living in Isla Vista are students, and it's just a really helpful resource for everybody when you're moving out and have no clue what to do with any of your stuff, and your parents live hours away. It's nice to know that there's like donation pickup services and things like that out there. So
While I was watching that presentation, I was just thinking about what Isla Vista would look like if the CSD didn't exist and if your department didn't exist. Like those pictures of just trash strewn across lawns and then being neatly collected into bags, and then all the graffiti and all that stuff. Like, Isla Vista would look like a very different place
That's
without.
how it was not that long ago.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't here to see that, but yeah, like seeing those before and after pictures, I think really drives that home, like what good work you guys do.
Yeah. And you can see that in the almost 10 years now, almost that I've been in
Almost,
IV,
yeah.
not yet, guys, that I've been in IV, you do see noticeable differences. I remember the C-click fix days. And I remember like just seeing like broken glass was almost like our glitter. It was everywhere on the floor and you couldn't get rid of it. And I swear it was everywhere. So I was even more impressed by our barefoot, like intensely like barefoot purists of like how you walk over all that broken glass. Now there's still
your calluses.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was me.
So I mean, I think now we have fewer calluses, right? So yeah, fantastic work getting rid of our broken glass glitter situation. And I do see Nico out there all of the time, maybe every day. And he is always like super locked in, collecting trash. People are always so happy to see him in our beautiful vest. So that's always a fantastic community engagement, because I bet that that's how we get a good chunk of our community engagement and show, you know, who we are, what our local government does, right? We steward the community.
I just think it's really cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, oh, okay, really?
Go.
So I also want to echo what folks have said here and just comment that it's just crazy the amount of work that you have done on so many different fronts this past year. And also there's been a lot of challenges this past year, and you've really navigated them so well. So what I look at is not only these programs that you've launched and pushed along, but you've done it under some challenging circumstances. And I know you've gotten a lot of support from this general manager, assistant general manager, but I just wanted to acknowledge that, and also just acknowledge, you know, it wasn't too long ago that you were in a completely different role, and you have just blossomed. And I just see all this, your strengths coming out of really building coalitions of people to achieve objectives. And I love that about you. I love that you have such a positive approach to your work. And you don't, I never have heard you say anything bad about any of the partners that you work with, but you manage to find the good, work with someone to achieve amazing things in our community. And when you walk around, we see your work everywhere, right? So I want to just acknowledge that the relationship you've built have been really positive. And then lastly, I'd like to say that I really love all the data that you collect, because it's one thing to see that things are cleaner, right? But it's another to see the statistics and the information that you're gathering to really show proof of the work that you're doing. So I appreciate the effort that you put into collecting data.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
You said what I was gonna say.
Shut the front door, really?
So, yeah, thank you. No, but yeah, we put Jenna into the director position and organized this department only a year ago, pretty much. And so it's been cool to see it all gel into one cohesive body of work, because it was all spread out before, and now all these things fit together really well and are working all great together. So that's been awesome, just to see a department be formed and made to, you know, do the bigger picture work and the smaller picture work and everything in between. So yeah, thank you, Jenna. It's been a great year for this department.
Yeah, truly.
We have a public comment from Ash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
One of
Take
our
it on
leads.
Zoom.
I'll just
Yeah.
read it. It says, I want to give my thanks to the board, staff, and community for all your support. Being a part of the team has been a huge blessing and way to grow my skills and contribute to our community, taking action to be more sustainable. Happy to help anytime if anyone has questions, especially about composting or wants to join for a site visit or volunteer.
It's lovely.
So
So
Ash
cute,
was
yeah.
promoted earlier this year into the compost lead
Oh, good.
position. They've been with us for a long time.
Fantastic, yeah. I always see them out in the gardens, gardening or composting, so it's fantastic. Yeah. I have I feel like I'm ending anticlimactically. I have two pedantic requests because of course I do, but also the only reason I'm bringing up these pedantic requests is because you're so good at doing details. I know a couple years ago we had a pumpkin smash event. Can we bring that back?
Yes, we can. And now, especially that Nico is going to be evolving into his full-time role. I mean, I think it's going to be an absolute game changer. He's just amazing. So really grateful for that. And I feel like we can bring some of that stuff back that I don't really have time for anymore, but he will. So I'm glad to hear that's something you think is important. And I agree that it's great paired with the pumpkin collection. It just, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, Halloween is right around midterms and I have received requests from 2 different grads to bring that back as a rage room type thing.
Wow.
Okay, I love
So
that.
perhaps some stress relief needed. Also, in relation to the IVCN and like trash, so we do like electric trash pickup, but I actually learned at the last IVCN clean and green meeting that vapes have to be like super special like thing not biohazard but like more
Like
than a
batteries.
biohazard
Yeah.
intense stuff.
Yeah, they have to get recycled like batteries.
Actually,
Yeah.
separate.
Separate than
from
batteries because they
bio.
have like the battery component and then the nicotine component. I think complicated.
It's
Anyways,
hazardous.
it's hazardous. That's what word I'm looking for. Can we get like I don't know if a collection day would make sense. Like, hey, everyone, bring your old vapes from the year. But like even just like a proper trash can for that, that we can have that because I know vapes are very popular in this community.
So we are adding info. It's gonna be small, but specific information about the fact that vapes are hazardous, that they're not e-waste, and just kind of pointing people to the right place for disposing of them, which is right here on campus at the hazardous waste facility. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so very unlikely that we can collect them. I will look into vapes specifically, but I've already tried to look into having a hazardous waste collection event here, and it's extremely expensive and it might not even be possible in this location. There's like all kinds of rules and regulations around it, whereas e-waste is a lot easier. Like we're having an e-waste collection event next week, and people can just pull up with their stuff and junk luggers is gonna haul it away, and so I think hazardous waste is a lot more complicated, but I do agree with just highlighting the importance of properly disposing of that.
Yeah. I kind of figured since it's quite literally hazardous.
I also think that AS Recycling does it. So maybe
Really?
we could like talk to
We
them
could
about
collab. That would be a good collab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that like e-waste disposals at the library?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they still have their battery or hazardous one.
I'll look it up. And okay, sorry. We got someone wanting a light fixture through our light
Nice.
distribution
Maybe
initiative.
from watching the meet.
Oh, that's super cool.
Was it you? So ultimately, that's been a goal for a long time. Is I've always wanted to have a place that people can drop off like film, film plastics, batteries, that type of thing. So hopefully one day, although not sure if it's possible with the e-vape cigarettes, but I'll definitely look in to see what AS is doing. That's super helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you again. And I give you my pedantic questions because I know that you can handle them because look at all the amazing detail you've done and the passion you bring in. So you see the meaning behind my pedantic nature, but thank you and fantastic job again.
Thank you.
Well, seeing No more takers for comment.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, go for it.
I was gonna just text it to John, but I figured no. So I saw in a newsletter, I think it was the CSD newsletter, that the give sale is not happening this year.
Yeah.
So what strategies do you have to address that? I thought there's a community-wide yard sale. Is that kind of how you're
There's a
addressing
lot to
that?
say.
Well,
Jennifer
so
on it.
we've had the yard sale, this will be the fourth
Yeah.
one. So we're doing similar things to last year. But yes, the give sale is not happening this year, so we're working closely with Viviana to come up with some kind of alternate solution for Isla Vista specifically. IVRPD is letting us rent some of their spaces, particularly the community center parking lot and Rodapel again, to have donation centers. So rather than having the give sale where all these donations are collected from residence halls and some from IV, and then volunteers spend like thousands of hours sorting through things to have a sale.
Yeah.
Rather than doing that, we're just gonna collect things, sort them super lightly, and then straight to Goodwill. Except for the furniture, which it's same. It's always been the case that the leftover stuff from the give sale goes to Goodwill, except for the furniture. Yeah, the only difference is we're not having a sale and we're only having the drop-off centers in Isla Vista. So we'll save the furniture over the summer like we did previously to sell at a move-in sale. But we anticipate having too much furniture to store over the summer. So we might have, and we're playing a lot of this by ear, but likely we'll have a little mini sale that we're not calling the give sale on, I think it was the 19th and 20th, where we'll sell some of the stuff, but tiny in scale.
Is it 19th and 20th of June or?
June.
Yeah, it's usually when the gift sale is. It's usually marketed at a outside audience, and the move-in sale is for our audience. But yeah, just to underscore what Jenna said, that most of the gift sale stuff came from the residence halls, and so that
I didn't
trash is
realize
being
that.
taken care of in a different way. And so
Yeah.
it's the first time we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
IV trash or IV waste only.
So we'll see how it goes, but most of the furniture regardless comes from Isla Vista and
yeah.
not the residence halls.
So there'll be like less knickknacks maybe.
Yeah, and less clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only suggestion is that a lot of leases start after June 24th, so there might be more of a turnout if it was like after that. Just cause like, I think that's when the earliest for a June lease would be like June 22nd to 24th, and then like the rest of this is like July, August.
Unfortunately, it was a very complicated thing to work out with the space rentals and stuff, so we'll probably stick to the dates that we have. But that is really good for us to know for next year, if we can just wait a couple more days. That it could impact our residents more positively, but we'll still be saving stuff for September.
I think this is a big identification of a gap we have, which is space. Like, it's hard for us to do things that need space. We do end up needing to ask UCSB, IVRPD, the county. We have no space pretty much ourselves. So that's something we scramble with. But we've been, UCSB helped us for 2 years at the Los Caneros site, and then IVRPD has been helping us the last 2 years. So we're lucky to have help, but that's just identifying a gap. We don't have space. That's something we ask others for.
Thank you.
Well, now seeing no further, we can move to item 4.4, the 2026-27 internal operations budget discussion.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Okay, so there's not much to share on this one. This can be quick because there's no changes from the year before, pretty much. So our finance, why is my Zoom not working? So because Google Docs changed. This is very zoomed in, but the finance committee met and went over the internal operations budget, and we kept things the same. You know, our general manager, assistant general manager, legal counsel, and accountant as the main administrative staff, 2 interns, our board of director stipends. We upped our training budget by $2,000. That's just something, you know, we've had a lot of training needs and it's been paying off to do training. You know, Maya and Sydney, for example, are at a public information officers conference right now.
Oh, good.
And but yeah, otherwise everything's pretty much staying the same. Some of our annual fees for, you know, online services like Zoom and such, they go up every year, so we account for that. But no major changes in operations. Everything proposed to be the same.
Good.
Sounds good. Do we have any public comment in person or on Zoom? No, any board comments? Okay. You were right, it was a quick item. Okay. Perfect. That moves us into our reports. Do we have reports from members of the board? This is the time that the board will consider approving director attendance at public meetings, public events, and public hearings to earn an official day of service.
I'll just mention that I met with Laura Capps this month, and I think the information that she gave me that caught my ear the most was that in response to our request for data from the county for the Isla Vista cityhood study, she had met with the CEO, Mona Miyasato, and Mona wanted it to come to the board on the administrative agenda to lay out what we're asking for so that it would be like official. And she said that she would try and get it there on the agenda in May, but I don't know if we've seen any hide in her hair of it yet. Jonathan?
Yeah, it's going to be the June 9th agenda.
Oh, which is kind of in May.
There's I think less board of supervisors meetings these days.
Yeah.
So they've cut down the number of
Yeah.
meetings. So
So anyway, presumably nobody's doing anything for us before then. And it's presumably a little bit of impediment to our quickly getting data.
we're going to need to extend the contract for the cityhood study. I'll come back
Yeah.
with this in a future meeting. But
Yeah.
we have some things we can do on the side. But yeah, this is now the main piece.
So anyway.
All right. Well, thank you for the update. I shan't shoot the messenger.
Well, thank you.
Any other reports from members of the board? Do we have any reports from standing and ad hoc committees?
Finance committee met not too long ago. Was that was after last meeting, I think. Yeah. We went over, we got a lot done. And then I think we did everything except for, was it public works?
And community engagement.
So
those are the pretty more than half the budget.
So it's still
next time.
still a lot to go. But
Most
we
of the
made
budget.
progress. We get progress.
Alrighty.
I guess one of the key things I think happened, or I don't know if it's a key thing, but one thing that I remember is we expanded funding for the Legal Resource Center, or I don't know if that's what it's called specifically, but the legal resources that IVCSD offers. Because they saw a massive uptick in utilization. So
Yeah, and this is mainly like the rental program.
Our program. Yeah. So adding more hours per month.
Yeah.
Available. Yeah, we've almost maxed our hours.
Wow.
3 months left. So
What do you attribute that to?
we have a better program now.
Uh-huh.
Sydney restructured the whole thing to just be more accessible, more relatable, better. You know, we have better differentiation. We have a dedicated legal advisor and a dedicated mediator, so that's better. Yeah, I think there's just been a lot of updates to the program made since I think it was November 2024. Fall 2024 is when we redid it. And the use of the program, we used to get nobody using it. Now we have too much use.
Wow.
Sorry, not too much use, but more than we had budgeted. So it's why we proposed to add more to the budget.
Awesome.
Good services.
It only took 8 years, but it's okay. That's fine.
Good. Any other reports? Do we have reports from district council?
Nothing to report, but I'm very happy to see you all.
In
Yay.
person. Yay. Do we have reports from general manager?
No, nothing to report today. That's been a just busy last 2 weeks. We've been deep in the parking world, getting
Yeah.
that launched, but it's
Very
been good.
successful.
We made it out.
Good, good. Glad to see all the successes. Well, folks, that brings us into closed session, where we will have items 6.1 and 6.2, the general manager evaluation and district council annual evaluation respectively.
We don't
And
go
that's
to
under
future
government
meetings.
code section 549.71.
Yes, thank you. Very good attorney work.
So will then we come back and announce future meetings?
Generally,